Welcome to the podcast. Nicolaas du Preez. He's a world-class powerlifter from South Africa, and we're going to have some chats.
Yeah, first off, thanks for hosting me on the podcast. I am super excited to get going. We have a few interesting topics laying ahead of us, so can't wait to get started.
All right, let's get the ball rolling.
Mm,
So you've got abs in a few weeks, eh? What contest is?
Um, well, I just want to make sure, if I'm not mistaken, this coming Saturday, we are literally 3 weeks out. This will be for Clash of Titans 4.
Okay. So it is the big one.
It's the big one of the big ones.
Yes.
So it's one of the few invite-only meets for, well, you need a minimum requirement of 1,000 kilo total. So,
Okay, so it works in total.
yeah, this one is total
Okay.
based.
And the divisions, they aren't different. The amateur divisions is just the pro show.
Now, you have the pro show on the day, but leading up to the pro show, there's the pro-ams as well.
Okay.
So we will be having a few flights beforehand.
So like we had in South Africa now recently.
Exactly the same.
Okay, so that pro-am division with the actual pros.
Yeah.
I see.
So usually the basic formula is set in stone. You will have meets with D2, D1 Pro-Am, and then a pro show if there is one. So
Okay,
that'll be either Clash of Titans, or like Pro 7, which I won last year,
I see.
or the Rumble in the US.
Okay, so those are the main shows.
Yeah, those are the main
Now,
ones.
explain again. I did ask you the other day the D2, D1. How are those divisions ranked from amateur to getting towards the pro level?
So it's quite straightforward. Each division, D2, D1 Pro-Am, and then the Pro Show, they are all based off dots.
Okay.
So you go based off dots to see if you have the minimum qualifying standard. And the nice thing is, even though it's an international recognized pro event, beginner lifters who haven't even done a single meet are still welcome.
Okay, because based on your dots.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the first division starts with.
But you have to have done a meet before to qualify, though, or not.
As far as I know, no.
So how do you submit then your dots to for the amateur comps? Okay.
For the amateur division, specifically D2, the starting dots is literally 0.
Okay.
So it's an open entry field for anyone and
Who's
everyone.
interested in the sport to compete at a platform like that?
Exactly.
Okay, that's nice.
It gives the amateur beginner athlete a whole idea to feel what an international street platform is, if that's the end all at the end of the day, working
see.
themselves up.
That's nice. I like that. So D2 is the lowest division that anyone can enter. Then D1 has a qualifying standard.
Yes.
And then from there, it is.
From there, the qualifying standard gets higher to Pro-Am, and then from Pro-Am even higher to the pro shows. But then again, the pro shows isn't open for everyone. It's invite only.
So they'll obviously decide what the parameters are for the next event. Like you said now, 1,000 total is minimum barrier to entry.
Exactly. If I'm not mistaken, it started with a minimum qualifying standard of 940 kilograms.
Okay.
I could be mistaken by 10 kilos.
Mm.
But now it's risen all the way to 1,000 kilo minimum, which is insane, because even just a few years ago, if you totaled a ton, that's history.
100%.
And now it's
You're one of the greats of all time if you total over 1,000 kilograms.
Yeah.
Now, so far, obviously we know the pro people now. So who's basically the big boys in the pro division for the upcoming APE?
I know there's a few, but the roster has been changing and going back and forth due to several injuries.
Oh, okay, I see.
Especially with the bigger names. So I want to say this roster feels quite new. There's a lot of new names in a sense.
But that's going to be interesting as well.
It is, because I believe with this, there could be a lot of underdogs.
Okay. That's exciting. I love that.
It makes it exciting. It almost gives me a flashback to my first abs event, the Pro 7, with Boris from Bulgaria.
Okay.
Same effect. So this could.
Didn't know what to expect.
Yes.
Okay. So, but from what we know now, who's supposed to be competing at this abs comp, the pro people. So you and who else were we looking at?
So, some of the few that would have been there but won't be anymore is Dave Richardson.
Yeah, no, he's been through a tough time.
He has, but
he's coming back fast, mate.
He's coming back for a third time now.
Didn't he just rep 400?
Yeah, I think he read 400 on the deadlifts. Oh no, it was 407.5. Sorry, for a triple.
That is
And then you
ridiculous.
have the second guy, Fernando Arias, who a week later went and fucking did 410 for a triple. He would have been at Abs Clash of Titans as well.
Bruh, and they're both not coming.
They're both not coming, and those are the two top contenders for first place.
What happened to Fernando? Why is he not coming?
So Fernando did a meet a few weeks ago, not that long ago, and he tore his pec. Second degree tear, but he still had a phenomenal meet. He ended with a 440 deadlift.
Still after a torn pec.
With a torn pec.
With a torn pec, literally.
So if I'm not mistaken, he squatted close to 400. I think it was 390 in sleeves.
Okay.
He tore his pec on, I can't remember, 235, or that was his opener. It could be 245, and then he still went into.
He's got a massive bench.
He does. So they won't be there, unfortunately. There were one or two other people, and then Carl from Germany. He also injured his core muscles a while ago, but he seems to be back up and running again. He's pulling 400 for doubles, 405.
Oh, then he should be fine.
So he's
but also ab injuries are also very weird.
They are, and they are frequent. So Carl will be there. We'll have Justin from Canada, even though he actually tore his quad as well a few weeks ago, and it seems to be a
Oaks are going through a rough patch.
Yeah, everyone's getting injured, but he seems to be back in action again. His aggressive rehab is working, and I was a bit skeptical about that. Then everyone's favorite, John Hack.
Oh, he's
actually coming back, and this time no weight cuts, nothing silly, and he's looking strong.
She's going to come in whatever he weighs and see what he can do.
In fact, I think he might be pushing the body weight a little bit as well.
Yeah, you would. It makes sense. That's likely, obviously, not to be uncomfortable, but that extra water retention, the extra body weight, it's not going to do you, especially because he's raw.
Yeah, that as well.
He's going to do sleeves as well.
John Hack is John Hack. He's coming on with a high bar squat in sleeves. Probably going to hit a massive bench, 260, 260 plus. And then the other day, he just pulled 410 without too much of a struggle.
That levels don't make sense to me, man. It is unreal to watch, especially squats.
And the fun thing is, he still holds the world record, I think, in the 90 kg deadlifts with the conventional stance between all the sumo lifters as well. So that's
Oak is a beast. Oak's a beast. So, isn't this the one with Steffi Cohen as well? Possibly. From what I've seen.
Honestly, I'm not actually too sure about that. So I don't want to say one thing and then lie.
Okay.
I'm not too clued up about the details, but there's a possibility.
Yeah.
A strong possibility.
Yeah, I've seen a few posts on Instagram. That would be crazy. Yeah. That would be insane.
If I'm not mistaken, from what I remember, I think she did tell Jay she is keen on competing at an event, so we could possibly see her there. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not getting my hopes up because I do know if I see her, even I will fangirl.
Yeah, let's see what happens. That would be awesome. No, John Hack and Steffi at an event, that is huge.
That is big, and that says a lot about the events.
It's literally two of the ghosts, literally of all time.
And for the cherry on the cake, there were rumors, I'm not going to say whether it's true or not, that Ed Cohen will be there for the prize giving or to be there for the event as well.
That's beautiful. It's great when the sport evolves to bring in the greatest. And things that also shows the support from the people who have done the wildest stuff.
So literally we will have one of the female goats, one of the male goats, and one of the previous generation's goats there as well. So that makes it quite special.
That's a beautiful experience. I think every powerlifter would love to be involved and just be there.
That's the dream, actually. It's like when we talked about lifting in the animal cage earlier. That is the goal.
That
same case.
Every old school powerlifter that loves powerlifting, that grew up watching that stuff, that is the dream for everyone. I think every event coordinator who hosts events, like even myself, like to host an animal cage, something of that level is the dream. It's the pinnacle. It is literally what every OG powerlifter lives for. And then as the athlete perspective as well, to lift in the cage is you've made it. To me, that would mean more than a world record even. You understand?
Yeah, I can even see some people that would rather choose to lift in the animal cage than go for an event where you can actually possibly break world records because there's much more prestige and loads of things involved with lifting in the cage.
And does it going through the entire powerlifting journey, watching that all, like especially at the beginning, that was my motivation. Watching the animal cage videos on
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
before I train.
People did some wild stuff in the animal cage. So that is the caliber of
What abs is shooting for,
people you can expect to see at abs.
and in an actual event style thing that you can actually compete at. Because obviously the cage is more entertainment, but yeah, to have a powerlifting event that is entertaining to almost that level is wild.
But now the nice thing what Jay is doing, he's putting the competitiveness and the production from boring basic piloting meets into the direction exactly
Of
such as the
entertainment.
cage. It's entertainment production. With that being said, we would have been at the massive RDS hall in Dublin, but that got cancelled at the last moment, as usually with a lot of things.
Yeah. No, it's
So
tough. It's tough.
I think you'll be moving the venue back to the previous, I think last year's event, which might actually be better. It is an insane event. I think it's a club.
Okay.
So you have the bottom portion of the ground floor, and at the top you have like metal staircases that goes around, and it's an open
Insane.
floor plan, so people can look down on the meets.
What an experience. I remember Tristan hosted an event also at Madison Avenue in Joburg, that SA Deadlift Lock Press.
Yes.
Now, obviously, it's the same idea, but now Ab's doing it on a whole other level. But just competing in that environment was amazing. The experience, because everyone's literally around you.
Yeah.
It feels like Coliseum type vibe.
It feels like a Coliseum vibe. It almost feels like it's a different atmosphere as with, let's say, boxing and MMA as well, because you're in the center
100%.
and the crowd is surrounding you. That alone gives a whole different perspective and atmosphere
100%.
than being on a
Stage.
front stage with the audience at one end.
Mates, flip the script. That's the way. Like that, I think that's a great thing. That changes everything. Like you've competed in that tough environment as well, so it feels wild. And the experience for the spectators is also different because they're more in the thing. Because like the powerlifting comps, it is almost horrible because the first 3-4 rows get to see something, and the rest is just like you looking from a weird perspective.
But I mean, there's so many ways to counter that. Once again, as with abs, you'll have the VIP seating at the front. They get to see everything beautifully. And then obviously, as the rows go back, you tend to see less and less. But that's where we put pedestals to go higher and higher. So it's a Colosseum effect.
100%. Like that's what MMA does right as well.
Exactly.
Like the way they structure their stuff. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And there's also now venues and stuff like that can actually accommodate this type of thing.
Yes.
And cost. Because to put up a spectacle like this costs a lot. Not just time and money, but like it's planning for months. Hundreds of millions. Like you can test now, hosting now the Abs of Africa. It's millions of moving parts. And things change consistently.
I think that the constant changes is what gets to you as a director the most. Like you can only control so many elements, and on the day only make sure so many things actually
fall into place.
Turns out and fall into place. But on the last day, there's so many cancellations from people, so many things that falls through the roof.
Mate, what I've learned, the one thing that has taught me the most of hosting lots of events is literally you can plan everything 100%. You will only know what's popping the Thursday or the Wednesday before that event. That is when the shit hits the fan, or okay, cool, things are lacquer.
The nice thing is there's a middle point where we all can agree upon. There's
the basis of this stuff is always sorted, but it's always nice to when things do come together. It's great.
It flows.
Exactly.
No, it always does. You just learn how to
adapt
the chaos a little bit better every time.
Like when we do the events, like I've got a separate bag of literally just random for in case.
Oh yeah.
Like just like duct tape and cable ties and extra plugs and extensions. Yeah. Wild. But yeah, that's it. It's interesting. But yeah, let's go back to abs. Okay, so you've told us some of the people that are not going to be there, but who's going to be there? Okay, so it's you. We'll chat. Actually, let's start with you now. So, okay, so you're going to compete now, obviously, in just over 3 weeks. How did your prep go? And obviously, you told me it was a bit of a tough prep this time around as well.
I want to joke and say it was a horrible prep, but more in the sense of the prep was just all over the place. Life was busy. I was on the road a lot, flying around a lot.
I see.
Also, I have my own athletes that I need to take care of as well. And the one thing that made the prep a little bit, let's say, wonky, I was struggling with teardrop and a glute issue or niggle for a few
Okay.
weeks. So the whole idea is the prep was supposed to be 20 weeks long, which is a long prep, but we wanted to put everything into it. So I hopefully get the second belt, be at the strongest level
100%.
possible.
And like obviously
Yeah.
preps can also, like the initial phase can be a slow, gradual build instead of a peak.
Yeah. So the first 4 weeks of those 5 blocks of the 20-week prep, the first 4 weeks were literally only variations of the main lifts. I did floor press,
Nice.
SSB squats, and horrible snatch grip deadlifts for sets of 7.
Yes.
So the first 4 weeks went by smooth. I did a deload week, came back, and all of a sudden I had a niggle in my quad, which was a small tear.
So you didn't actually feel it from anything specific?
Nothing. I just woke up. Yeah, I don't know.
That happens. And you got to try and think back now, what did I do?
Yeah. So then for about 10 weeks long, I struggled with my glutes and my teardrop. It took a big chunk of my prep away from me.
And you can't do much, actually, because that affects deadlifts, squats.
Everything. So my actual prep up until now has only been, I think, between 10 or 8 weeks long. So the first 12, so the first 12 weeks of the prep, I lost in a sense, I want to say.
You like did a first phase and you like do like a whole recovery phase and then actually.
And then also due to the injuries was due to imbalances. So I had to fix the injury, still try and get my strength up there and work.
Or at least maintain.
Yeah, maintain and work on the imbalances as well. With that
and recover.
And recover. So with that I couldn't put in a proper prep. I was just doing what I could do. And once everything was sorted out, I just started with singles from the kit.
Feeling it out, see what's possible, 100%. But you have to adapt again, the adaptation. You have to figure out what you can do. And that's also like your experience, which allows you to do this.
Yeah. So for the time left, I'm doing what I can, which is the best for the prep.
100%. That's the right decision. You have to play it almost by feel. So based on going by feel, through obviously quite a difficult and challenging prep, how do you feel now, 3 weeks out? 3.5 weeks out, I'd say.
Well, so funny enough, a few weeks ago, I would say when I just started with the singles, I felt like this is going to be a waste. I'm just going to waste my time to stop prep and pull out. But I'm actually feeling surprisingly really good. The short amount of weeks of prep time that I had, which I only did singles, I'm feeling strong and confident actually.
Does your body feel almost more recovered in a sense as well? Or CNS or body, what do you feel?
I think the fact that I had such a long period where I had to work on myself first before the actual prep starts, that counted as a good means of a rest period. And I actually feel fresh now. So even the fact that I've just been doing singles, my strength is climbing. Every week I go heavier, but it feels lighter and the weight moves faster.
Beautiful.
So
and you're still doing your rehab type stuff as well?
Every day.
Okay. So things like, it's crazy to see now how your base strength was actually good enough.
It was all the time. It is all the time there. But
it's now the small things that cause these little niggles that were almost holding you back in a sense. So now by doing less stressful work on the main loads and focusing on just fixing those minor little imbalances over time, boom, boom, boom. It's going to be interesting to see actually how you do now.
The performance on the day will say a lot. But I would say for the last 12 weeks, by doing less, I got more out of it.
Mate, it is the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing. Like I've also dropped my volume by like 30%. Like on some of my days by half. And I'm still getting stronger and I'm feeling better. But doing too much now is also now one of the detrimental factors. Because now the body's damage is more. Like you think we're still human beings, like the joints, the ligaments, everything, and the CNS as well. But I think this applies more to more experienced athletes than beginner level athletes. I think over time you actually have to do way less but then it's also the intensity is different. The intensity is higher, but the amount of volume and workload gets less. So you execute almost more efficiently.
I want to agree in the sense with that the more of a beginner you are, the less intensity there is, but more volume and workload. And then as you get more experienced and stronger, the total volume and workload gets less, but the intent is all the way there.
The intensity and the intention as well.
Yeah.
On how you execute the movement. Because there's a massive difference between doing squats or just going up and down and bouncing, than bracing, breathing, and then you get that control, and then you dip and explode, like that literal intention of driving through your feet, doing all those things, and executing that lift with power and intent.
And that intent added with intensity with way heavier weights. You don't need to do a lot of volume.
100%. I agree with you so much there. And that's also something that you only learn over time.
No, definitely.
You literally experience this, and you're doing the shit and you're doing the same stuff, and you're like, fuck, why am I not getting stronger? And then you do less because you feel broken or fatigued or injury, and like, oh, look at this. And that deadlift is the same thing. Deadlift is the weirdest thing.
No, deadlift, I still don't understand. I've been doing powerlifting for 8 solid years now, going on 9, and I'm learning more and more every day.
Mate, deadlift is the trickiest one to program. And the thing is, like, for yourself, it is actually easier because you can test and see and make changes.
But even after testing through a few seasons and years, I still don't have the exact formula set in stone when it comes to the perfect peaking time. So you don't re-peak or you burn out too fast, because that always happens.
Literally always happens.
There's always a tendency with me, with the last 3-4 meets especially, I could feel and see I've peaked easy 2-3 weeks too early. And even when I adapt to the next prep, it sometimes just happens again, or some other weird fucking thing happens.
Deadlift is the trickiest one, right? Yeah, it is a crazy one.
Yeah, you'll have me at the meet. That'll be my fifth. Yeah, fifth abs powerlifting meet. I'm starting to have to count now. And then the next big strong guy, which I had high hopes for on the podium, is Justin from Canada as well.
Okay.
There's a good chance he could actually out squat everyone there.
Oh, really? So what's he been doing?
Well, he also tore his squat now a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So his squats and deadlifts and everything took a bit of a knock, but he's still strong.
And before the injury, what was he doing?
Oh, before the injury, he was moving mad weight. He did a few weeks ago, when the injury happened, a 420 squats.
Yes.
Which moved. It looked like a warm-up.
How much does he weigh?
He's heavier than I am. He's about 140 kilos, 300 pounds. But his bench is strong. He pushed the 247.5 the other day. His deadlifts has also gotten a lot better, especially with strict lockout and grip. About 340, 350 about.
Okay.
So he can put up a big total.
But that is definitely podium possibility.
I would say between him, not to put placings, but between him, John Hack, me, and then also there's one or two guys from Poland who's dangerous as well.
Is it?
New guys, and one guy specifically, Lucas, who's been competing with me for the last
Yes.
So he podiumed 3rd place last year at Clash out of the blue. No one expected it. So anything can happen.
That's going to be a crazy event, and throwing John Hack in the mix as well. Yes. That's a crazy factor.
He has the potential at the moment to total 1,050 about
in sleeves and weighing at least 10-20 kilos less than everyone else.
I'm one of the lighter guys. In quotations, and I weigh 40 kilos heavier than John Hack.
Okay, yeah, that is so perspective, eh?
Yeah, that put things into perspective.
He's like 110.
No, 90 plus.
He's only 90 plus.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
He usually competes 80 or 90.
And in sleeves.
Yes.
Unreal. No, that sounds like a very exciting event.
No, it will be. It will be. Especially with the events taken into consideration, it's going to draw a lot of people. The production is going to be off the charts as well. And also with Jay, he's been trying to source the most bizarre venues, which just adds to the whole hype.
Yes, and experience.
As I mentioned earlier this morning with the Greece.
Yes. With Colosseum vibes.
To try and get in a Colosseum.
An actual Colosseum.
And that is like a Roman gladiator theme or something in that regard.
I love that.
Something silly as well, what we talked about is for the judges, they won't be using lights, red or white lights. They're using their thumbs and start like this.
Oh, cool.
Good lifts or bad lifts.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah. I love that. That creates an experience, a spectacle, something different.
And it gives a bit of heritage and background about the country as well.
Beautiful.
So
no, that's a win in so many areas.
Yeah.
100%. I love that idea. And the thing is, for spectators now, that is much more entertaining to watch as well.
I think it's exciting. almost in a sense bringing back the gladiator days, but just in modern time in sports.
100%. Now, and obviously with abs, the music is pumping, the smoke machines, the fire, all the
fire.
things. No, and also the fast-paced competition.
Mm.
That is also one of the biggest wins because they've managed to pull off a whole comp. How long is it? 3 hours for the pros.
For the pros,
things that do the women as well in between.
The women are done as well, but it's done within 2.5 to 3 hours.
Literally.
The whole comp.
Whereas most comps are like a half a day or at least the whole morning.
Half a day at least, and some world champions a full day.
Literally. No, for spectators, it's not going to work.
No.
No, I love the idea. It's literally just changing the whole perspective of the sport.
So you have like fast-paced entertainment, and it's actual athletes doing insane stuff.
Literally following the rules of powerlifting. And that it's not just a show.
That brings excitement. It pulls a large crowd of people, and with that, powerlifting is growing finally.
No, this is what it needs, and like people must just do more of it. You understand? And like if competitors rise up to do similar events that are also standing, it is great.
Yeah,
because definitely. Competition is good. Competition forces people and companies and things to do better and do more stuff for the athletes to make it a bigger spectacle.
I mean, they've been having such a powerful force of attraction that we've been having IPF athletes come over to APE to compete and completely leave the IPF. So that says quite a lot.
Now, the enjoyment of the sport itself, to actually enjoy the sport, is a big deal for me as well. Like,
otherwise, why are we doing it?
100%. Like, because the sport in itself is a lot of sacrifice. It's mostly sacrifice and pain. Like, we love it, but the truth of the fact of the matter is, it is hard. It is very hard, especially to do it for time. To do this consistently for years requires a massive sacrifice. You that's what you become. It becomes your life. It has to.
You complain every time, but you still go and do it.
100%. Yeah. So what are you looking at doing at APES? What is in the back of your mind?
Well, the first thing, as I always say, is just walk away injury-free. For me, that's the most important.
Of course.
And then for once, I would say there are actually a few small goals number-wise I would like to get. But the grand goal, obviously, is to win the second belt.
Of course.
The Clash of Titans belt.
That goes without saying.
I have the chance. If I'm going to be fair and just say if Dave and Fernando was there, it would have been a fight.
You'd have to risk way more.
I'd have to risk more numbers on the bar. But now I believe there's a better chance of me getting the belts. So with that being said, just try and win, play the number game, go 9 for 9.
No real specific weight goals, just make the right decisions to come out on top.
There are weight goals, but that is if everything else falls in line, because I want to hit weight goals, but I also want to win. And I'm not going to take a bigger jump that I need to and possibly risk
the win. The win is the main goal.
It's the main goal.
And you'll make the decisions based on what you need to do.
And with this, based on the previous meets and how this prep has gone thus far, if everything lines in fine with squats and the warm-ups on bench, I don't care really what happens on squats because I actually want to build my numbers on bench and deadlifts.
Okay, I see.
So for bench, just to break my comp PB of 250, even if it's just 252.5.
But your bench has been looking very strong.
That's why I'm confident in it. And then the same with deadlifts.
I think this has almost been your best bench prep.
Since ever, actually.
Yeah.
And then lastly, for deadlifts, just get 400 in comp. I've pulled it once before, I got red lighted. One after that, I pulled 395 just to lock it in. So 400 is there.
Yes. And I think that's also achievable, especially if you hold back a bit on squats, because you don't need to push.
That's what I'm working towards. I'm holding a little bit back on squats because squats took the worst knock during prep, and then building the total a bit more on bench and deadlifts.
That's very wise.
If I can take the numbers, let's say 20 or 30 kilos away from squats,
yes,
I'll have more energy as well, and just divide it between the bench and the deadlift.
100%. That is very strategic. Now, the squat for this comp, is it monolift with workout, or what's the...
So that's a fun thing with Clash of Titans. Number one, it's the way I like powerlifting being run, total based.
Okay, yes.
But I'm not a bitch, that's why I competed in the dots based as well. So it's total based, and we have speciality bars. So
beautiful.
All are Cerberus barbells. We have 25 kilo squat bar with a fuckload of whip. a 20 kilo power bar on bench, and then a 20 kilo Cerberus deadlift bar, which is
Okay.
one of the best deadlift
Okay.
bars ever.
Nice.
And then a monolift.
Okay. And you can walk out, or you can just.
You can walk out, that is not an issue. But the one issue comes with obviously the standard.
Yes. The standard is obviously the main thing.
Yeah. But so yeah, that puts a lot of people in a bit of an advantage. I mean, obviously you can squat a little bit more with the mono and the squat bar. Deadlifts, if the whip doesn't throw you off, you can maybe add 5 to 10 kilos as well.
But also, it's also how you pull and how you squat. Because like you said, the Cerberus bar, it does a lot of oscillation, so you're not ready for that. But like there's no walkout. That's you don't have to walk out.
That help. And also I've the previous issue I had with the abs meets was I did the walkout, which wasn't an issue, but I was really unstable. I would shake with the squat all the time.
Wasting a lot of energy.
That is not an issue at the moment as well, so we can expect something big.
Beautiful. Because I can remember the previous squats, the walkout took. I could see how much it takes.
Yeah.
Because like when you get to the point where you have to squat, I'm like, here now you still gotta.
Yeah. And for the first few years, I would do self rep as well. Do the walkout and shake like that.
Mate, same. Stupid, but like
you live and you learn.
Mate.
So now I have Jay rapping me. So it says
what a game changer. I think also it's the trust thing. That was my biggest issue. I couldn't just ask anyone to rap.
You want to rap your way.
And literally the only people who could do that for me back in the day was Hani.
Yeah.
And there was the stage that Hani's shoulder he went for operation. I'm like, all right, got to do it myself.
Yeah. No, you have to. But yeah, so monolifts, speciality bars. Also the one small difference between the Clash and the Pro Show where we use those. The resting times between attempts are slightly longer. It's not only 10 minutes. I think we now get 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
Okay, nice.
A little bit longer due to the wrapping and everything else.
And because it is the big one. It is the big one. So like you want everyone to have at least optimal rest to put on the numbers they want to push for.
Because with the smaller guys, you recover much faster between attempts.
100%.
Also smaller weights.
100%.
Without disrespect, but
no, it's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact. Yeah, I know. That's interesting.
So yeah, I would say my goals for Clash of Titans 4: smash a bench comp PB, smash a deadlift comp PB. Just have a good day. Try and go 9 for 9, and then the grand goal, get the belt. Otherwise, bare minimum second place.
I see.
Because up until now, I've done 12 meets. I think like 8 local and 6 international something, and I've never placed worse than second.
Okay.
And I want to maintain that.
Yeah. I see.
So small, simple goals.
But like I like how your strategy for the comp also aligns with how your prep went. That's how it actually should be.
No, it should be that. You can't have a shitty prep and then
and still expect to PB on the things that you had issues with. You understand? Because like you're having issues with your quads and your hips. So now obviously it's great now that squat doesn't have to be, you have to force.
Yeah.
You can do what's comfortable and obviously push a little bit, but you don't have to risk. Bench went beautiful. Smash that thing. Deadlift, obviously, if you rest it after squats, not as fatigued, and your deadlift, you've been playing around, putting some decent weight as well. And the goal is 400 to put it in comp. That should be that's achievable.
Yeah, I think for a 400 squat, we'll be there on comp.
Yeah, 400 squat, 400 deadlift.
A second attempt for squats, deadlifts, maybe a third attempt. We'll see. But the strength is there. I just need to stay healthy because we're only 3 weeks out. And that's about it.
So your plans now for the next few weeks with regards to training, plus minus?
So the regards or the goals for the last 3 weeks, I would get in 2 more heavy bench sessions, 1 to maybe 2 more heavy deadlifts and squats, and then just taper down for the last week and a half.
Perfect.
Maybe 2 weeks even. Because I do believe I'm only 3 weeks out. I will not be getting stronger now. In fact, only thing I can do now is just try and time my peaking as efficiently as possible and not burn out.
And keep your CNS primed.
And usually with that, for play safe, to keep flying in consideration as well.
Yes.
Because now we have
quite a long flight as well.
Not only a long flight, but this time the route is a whole different route which you've never taken.
I see.
And I'll be getting in Dublin maybe 1 day before the ceremonial weigh-ins.
Okay, so you're traveling up until the comp as well.
So I need to take a lot of things into consideration.
How long are you in that region before you compete?
Only 1 day. I'll be flying to Heathrow overnight for 1 day. Then that'll be the 11th.
I
Then
see.
we'll travel up to Belfast in Northern Ireland and drive down.
So then 2 days down was the comp.
Yeah, and then the next day I think is the ceremonial weigh-in, and the next day the meet.
Okay. So basically, you have like 3 days to climatize.
4 days. 4 days actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
That is enough,
that's
but it's not
enough.
obviously not optimal. It would be better for a week or so, but like, yeah, that is a fact you have to take into consideration.
Yeah,
all this.
so a lot of things to take into consideration, but I've done this before a few times.
Exactly.
Nothing new.
You know, plus minus what to expect, and then
Exactly.
again, you'll adapt as things
Mm.
change.
So yeah, expecting a few PBs, just play it safe. And then the big one I'm working towards is Pro 8, where I need to defend the belt.
I see.
Yes, that is my actual
One you're focusing on,
I'm
actually.
gonna focus
This is a
on
stepping
and-
stone comp. You
Yes.
get the belt, get your PBs, it's a win.
Yeah.
I see.
Because one concern I need to take into account as well is injuries.
Mm.
With so many people having had so many injuries,
Especially recently.
I mean, the level has now been pushed here thanks to a few people, especially Kyle at the Rumble. And everyone is pushing harder than ever, faster than ever, and the injuries are so
Yeah, it is. It is. You have to look after yourself.
definitely.
Perfect.